right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. No matter where you may find yourself as you listen to this, and welcome to the only sports broadcast with brains and bars, and home of Kansas City. Black and white thing. I'm your host, A1. You can follow us on all streaming platforms: Google Podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever your favorite podcast app you can find us. You can also check us out on YouTube by searching Brains and Bars and checking out most episodes of It's a Black and White Thing. And then you can also follow us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook, all by searching Brains and Bars. I am 1/3 of the dynamic duo, and as you can see, I'm A1. You can call me Carlos or call me Dan. I'm joined today by my homie, my ace, A Ward. What's going on?
What's up, y'all, man? Appreciate y'all tuning in. Once again, I am A Ward, man. Go to iamaward.com. That's my website. All the social media hyperlinks are there. You can find battles, music, merch, all the good stuff. All the most reasons that you love me. And the reasons that you don't love me, you can find them in your heart. But no, it is good to be here, and it's good to be at this bar that I'm at because the snow outside is really giving me more of a downer than yesterday's Super Bowl did. So it's my pick me up, cool and carbonated beverages tonight.
Man, it is. I'm glad to have you back after you made your world tour of all media platforms and outlets. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that Hollywood has returned home back to his home platform. So good to have you. Shout out to the homie Loso, everythingloso.com for merch, music. And battles, and speaking of battles going down, Loso versus Vixen on Kings vs. Queens 2 Saturday on Caffeine. Shout out to the homie. He is fine-tuning his material for Vixen, who, congratulations, Vixen just announced the first ever Woman of the Year put on by Jay Black and the good people at Champions. So shout out to Vixen. You see, there's a third person on the screen. He is the King of the Dot champion. He is Tampa Bay Bucs fan. So he is basking in the glow of a Super Bowl championship for his favorite team. He is real deal. Real deal. What's going on with you, man?
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for having me. Yeah, man, thank you. Like I said, all my social media is Real Deal Raps pretty much across the board. So yeah, no, I appreciate it, fam. Yeah, it was an easier wake up today. I'll say that.
Definitely, man.
Right, so if you're new to the show, welcome. We appreciate you. New to the show, we appreciate you for stopping by. But if you are a normal listener or viewer to the show, we start each episode with what I learned this week. And as A Ward alluded to, I had something else I learned, but my drive home is forcing me to switch up what I've learned for this week, because the drive home, I left my job at 5:30. I didn't get home till 6:15-ish, right? 45-minute drive. I don't live that far from my house. Listen, man, if you're going to be driving in cold weather, in snowy weather, icy conditions, I need you to drive defensively. I need you to drive safely. But if you're going to drive scared, please stay off the road, fam. I almost got stuck because people are creeping up the hill. Like, fam, you cannot attack the hill. Attack the hill. If you go up and slow, you're going to get stuck, which means I'm going to get stuck. And twice, almost 3 times, I had to get over to avoid being stuck in the snow and not recording this podcast tonight. So that's what I learned this week. Mayor Lucas, I don't know if you're listening, but please declare a state of emergency, shut down the city, let us work from home until this cold spell is over, because I can't afford to be stuck in the snow. And nobody else can. But that's what I learned this week. You can hit us up with what you learned this week by going to Facebook, Twitter, and IG, searching Brains and Bars, and letting us know what you learned. A Ward, we're gonna turn it over to you, my man. What are you looking forward to today?
Yo, what I'm looking forward to this week, man. I'll tell you this much. I'm not looking forward to Valentine's Day. I think Valentine's Day is the most overrated holiday in America during the year. Valentine's Day is just so trash. Like, there's no absolute reason why flowers should cost 10 times more this week than they did last week, or chocolate, or whatever it may be. Yo, shout out to my wife. I love you. But Valentine's Day is what I'm not looking forward to. What else I'm not looking forward to is all these postponed basketball games because of COVID contact tracing. It's really irritating my soul. Right when I'm getting excited about the next Tennessee basketball game, Florida's got somebody who knows somebody who cut somebody's hair, who's girlfriends with a cousin of somebody who might have it, and now we can't play basketball anymore. That's what I'm not looking forward to either. And what else I'm not looking forward to is the whole can the Bucks repeat next year? Blah 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 blah, all that crap. I switched it up and told you what I was not looking. I'm looking forward to not looking forward to all three of those things.
I hear you. Listen. I mean, Chiefs fans, I'm here for you to. You know what I'm saying? Allow this to be your therapy session. If you need to vent, jump in the comment section. I'm here for you. I'm going to be that shoulder to cry on that I've been all these other years while I live here. And when my team finally faced yours last year in the Super Bowl, I get that meme sent to me every week of the 49ers celebrating. But guess what? I'm not going to be evil. I'm not going to be hard-hearted. I'm going to show love to y'all or y'all wouldn't show love to me. But anyway, since they were referenced the Super Bowl, let's go ahead and jump into this Super Bowl recap, man. So I want to ask you real deal. So you are a Bucs fan.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come to be a Bucs fan?
So, I lived Pittsburgh my whole life, grew up in Pittsburgh, which is obviously ridiculously Steeler country. But what happened was when I was young, I was the youngest of four, and my pops was just always working. Like he was always having to work odd jobs and whatnot. So he wasn't even up on foot. He didn't care. I remember when I asked him when I was like 18, I'm like, Dad, what was it like when the Steelers was in the Super Bowl? He was like, I don't know. And I'm like, what do you mean? You was here? Joe Green, Franco Harris. He's like friends of yours or something? I'm like, Dad, he's like, son, I got bills to pay. You're telling me about people that are throwing footballs around and stuff. I said, okay, bet. Even when I played high school football, you know what I mean? I played O-line. He'd be like, why didn't they give you the ball? I didn't get that. And I'm like, all right, never mind, Dad. It's going to take too long to explain. So that being said, when I was young, we kind of all had the freedoms to like whoever. So my middle brother liked the Broncos when they had Elway. My oldest brother was a Niners fan, diehard Niners fan. So that football game had come out, that Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
And so fun, the Joe Montana Chief is on there, right? And I would be smoking my brother because I would just sit and play the game all day. I think the two default teams were like Dallas and San Francisco. I'd be smoking them with Dallas. So one day I was like, man, pick the worst team on this game, and I'm going to beat you with them. And he picked this orange creamsicle team. You know what I mean? And I was like, who's this? And I smoked them because obviously it wasn't about how good they were. It's just I played it, so I knew what to do. So I would just to be annoying, I picked them every time, and I started to like them. You know what I mean? I didn't realize they was as trash as they were at first.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and they were. I'm talking. This is right before they drafted Dilfer. So they were bad. And then I didn't get this. They didn't even Pittsburgh TVs wouldn't even have them on until like bonus coverage on Fox. So they're like, we'll take you to the fourth quarter of the Buccaneers game or something. And I finally, the first game I watched was '95 when the Lions smoked them on Christmas Eve. I was like, ooh, this is a bad team. Like this is not good. Like. So yeah, it's been a long time with more downs than ups, but
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Hey, that's the definition of a diehard right there. I mean, you've seen 4 bad years and good years. So
man, oh yeah, I've seen some forgettable years, bro. Like where I bet like 90% of their football team was out the NFL within 3 years after that year. Like,
Wow. That's crazy. All right, so I'm going to ask you this because Loso, in his absence, he's been giving me grief. I said that, so back when Brady first signed, we had an episode. A Ward was not very excited about Brady going to the Bucs. I said this was going to be his Jordan with the Wizards moment. Now, I feel in some aspects I was right. I feel in some aspects I was wrong. But I'm going to ask you, how would you have assessed Brady's play overall? Like, don't factor in the championship part of it, just his play from beginning to end.
He was incredible, man. I mean, threw 40 touchdowns to like 12 picks. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, he had weapons everywhere. We know he can't move to save his life. You know what I mean? but just the way he managed the game, like all of their numbers were down. Godwin, Evans, Gronk's obviously, and that's because with Brady, there's no, oh, I got to get you these catches. I got to get so like just his managing of the game. He only had he had a bad game against New Orleans early in the year, and I want to say he had another bad game. Maybe the Chiefs. I think his game wasn't too hot. But overall, man, 40 touchdowns to 12 picks. He ran a couple touchdowns, completed 65% of his passes. It was different because as a Bucs fan, I'm used to watching Jameis Winston. So it's even when he's rolling, you're like, oh man, when is he going to make that one head scratching? And even stuff that Brady would do that didn't look good, like, chuck the ball up, right? I wasn't even that mad at him. Like, he wouldn't take sacks in bad predicament. You know what I mean? He throw it. So, I've watched Brady for years. This is like a turn back the clock year, man. It really was different, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, 40 touches to 12 picks. Even against the Chiefs, I didn't think he was it wasn't the craziest performance I've ever seen. But just knowing that you don't have to, you know what I mean, that you can dump it off so yeah, I thought he played crazy, man. And I agree. I was kind of a skeptic when they got him in first two until they got Gronk. And then I said, okay, now he's got that security blanket because I didn't trust him to get the ball downfield to Mike Evans and whatnot. But I was wrong, man. I was dead wrong myself, man.
All right, Ward. So how would you assess Brady's play throughout the year?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think we talked about before the season. I said they're a fringe playoff team. I said that because there was going to be 7 teams that I saw the Buccaneers jumping in at 7. I said that. I don't remember exactly why, but when I kind of went down the list of NFC teams, there were teams I think that I thought would perform a little bit better. During the year, I thought he did well. But I mean, he didn't put fear in me from a Brady standpoint. I didn't have that feeling that Brady was like, get him the ball in the fourth quarter and it's still a wrap, or something like that. I didn't have that feeling. I saw the stat last night. They said after the Chiefs game, I think they went 9-0 or 7-0 or something like that after that Chiefs loss or whatever. And they showed his stats and stuff like that. And I don't know if it was me just not paying much attention to it or whatnot, but I mean, I can't deny that even in the playoffs, I still speculated that, I mean, yeah, he played against this team and they just didn't do very, but man, I don't know. All he did was just complete a lot of passes, throw for a lot of touchdowns, throw for a lot of yards. Even though he looked normal, sometimes I think that's just a testament to the GOAT status level that we put him on, and it's just like, and I think I have to kind of put it in that perspective and say, like, yeah, I might be overly critical because of how clutch and amazing he's always been. So, I think obviously they won the freaking Super Bowl. I would have never thought that, and I would have bet and did bet, that they would not beat the Chiefs and that they would not beat the Packers and that they would not be, what I mean? And that's all they did was do that. I do think that him having his weapons, I think that Todd Bowles is a freaking genius. I don't want to say genius, but I think Todd Bowles is probably not going to get as much credit as he should for that win, because we always are it's a quarterback-driven league. Quarterback's the reason we won the Super Bowl, but Todd Bowles is the NFL MVP to me, or the Super Bowl MVP.
If you can give an MVP to an entire defense as opposed to one player, the defense overshadowed Tom Brady's play by far.
Yeah,
by far. I mean, they had like 20 quarterback hits or 10 quarterback hits and however many pressures. I mean, that was It really showed you the impact, though, that a starting offensive lineman can have.
Yeah.
And the drop-off, man, wow.
Yo, does Eric Fisher come back next year and ask for an extension and go ahead and get him out?
Man. But their interior line was bad, too, though. Like, Vita Vea was getting that push, and Ndamukong Suh was getting that push straight up field. I really think so much is going to go on Mahomes, but I really think he needed someone else to make a play, and they didn't, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't.
Listen, if you listen to the show, I've had some takes that have been controversial. My takes on momentum, my takes on backup QBs. But one of the things I've always said, when building a team, after you find your quarterback, you got to build your offensive and defensive line, because if you can't If you can't protect the quarterback, I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter.
You have David Carr. Yeah, you'll send David Carr back there and just get him killed.
Yeah, and right. I mean, so you got to be able to protect them. And so last week's show, when I gave my prediction, I said all week long that I had the Patriots. Wow, I had the Bucs winning this game because I just was too concerned about the offensive line. Mike Remmers was okay at right tackle, but when they moved him to left, I'm like, man, this is not going to end well. You got a guard playing left tackle, and if you've seen any of the clips where they're just showing the all 22,
feet aren't quick enough. Yeah, as a guard, your feet aren't quick enough.
Him against Shaq Barrett there's a play where Clyde Edwards-Helaire runs for about 10 yards, and on the snap of the ball, Shaq Barrett almost meets him. And Clyde puts on a great move, shakes him. He's able to gain the 10 yards.
It was a great, yeah. It was a great
steal of Andrew Wiley, and he's like this. Like he's going forward to try to reach for him, and he misses, and he's just bent over because he completely missed the block. Like
I thought, though, I was surprised their interior line, though, man. There was a play, Dominican Sue just pushed the guard back in, like having to have Mahomes scramble out. They said he ran for like 500 yards around in figure eights. Again, I think that what I look at that game, I look at momentum is a huge thing. And I believe the Kelsey drop that could have extended was huge. Tyreek Hill. Now, I don't know if it hit someone else's hands first or it hit his.
No, that hit him right in the face.
Man.
Darrell Williams has kind of hit him in the face, too.
Yeah. I mean, to me, there are 5 defining plays, at least from the Chiefs' perspective, right? You have Tyreek Hill dropping that pass in the end zone. You have the Kelsey drop, which would have kept the drive alive. You have the holding call on Shavarius Ward, which was not holding. I didn't think
it was either on the interception, right?
Yeah, the interception, right? So that stops that drive right before half, where they end up getting the touchdown. You have the play on Matthew, right, where that ends up being pass interference, and that puts the ball at the 1, and they score right before half again. And Andy Reid taking the timeout. I didn't think he should have taken the timeout. You wanted to let that, like, at this point, your offense has not been very successful. Like, at this point, get off the field, let's regroup and try to make some adjustments. Giving Brady that timeout. Then what? They were supposed to kick the field goal. Then the offsides happens. Drive continues, and then they end up getting the touchdown. And I didn't. So there's a very pro Chiefs group chat I'm in, not the one with me and you, Ward. There's another one, and I hit up the homie Dre because Dre's in that chat, and I said that was ball game. Like when they went up 21-6, I said that's it. Like they're not going to be able to come back. And
so as to be as unbiased as I can, the flags were odd, to say the least. Like the pass interference deep downfield to Mike Evans looks like incidental, looks like feet getting tripped up.
Yeah.
The hold was also sketchy. The calling Honey Badger for taunting and not Brady is outlandish. You know what I'm saying? So those were huge moments. So the final score is 31-9, but at the time it's not 31-9 when these things are happening.
Right.
I didn't hate the timeout call because you have such a prolific, like they kept highlighting how Mahomes, you're never out of the game, right? Like it's difference between coming back. Like Mahomes is just so good. And I just think it was that they had a strategy and he needed people to step up, even defensively.
Yeah.
And that didn't – I mean, even the one sack that Chiefs got was, I just did not think they left people wide open, you know what I mean, for dump offs.
It was the prop bet sack, right? Because wasn't the prop bet what happens first, a sack or a touchdown?
Yeah.
The sack on Brady happened first, yep.
And, I mean, it was a momentum. So, like, I was expecting, just as a Bucs fan, like, having seen this story so many times, I felt good at what happened when Chiefs got the ball and drove down and wasn't able to score a touchdown, and then the Bucs immediately scored. Yeah. I said, man, this is looking –
Start the second half, yeah.
But I think the strategy, like you said with Bowles, to just not let Tyreek Hill beat you and depend on your line, because they got fast linebackers. no one can cover Kelsey, right? But their linebackers did the probably best. I mean, he had over 100, but he had some garbage time yards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody else needed to step up. And Kelsey and Hill had huge drops, bro, like, and didn't make up for it on anything else. You know what I mean?
I thought the Chiefs choosing not to use like the run in the first half was actually something that I questioned as well. I think they came out and ran 7 straight pass plays to start the game. And I just thought, like, obviously with an offensive line that's not going to pass protect or is struggling there, you have to keep those linebackers on their toes and be able to use some play action and stuff. And I think the Chiefs were kind of just too prideful and said, no, this is the way we win. We spread it out. We throw passes. We can dink and dunk, and we can beat you. And it's like, no. They come out first play of the second half. Edwards-Helaire takes a 23-yard run, and it's the longest play from scrimmage for the Chiefs so far. And then still did kind of abandoned it again and tried to just, and I'm like, man, like, let's iron out 2 or 3 first downs on 4-yard carries, 4th and 2, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Like, I thought them choosing not to do that was kind of questionable to me, especially with Edwards-Helaire being healthy finally. And I thought that, he did well running the ball. I think he had 8 for like 70 yards there early in the third quarter.
Yeah, I just don't know how sustainable it was, though, right? Because I feel like in some of those instances, the Bucs were in a pass, like they were thinking pass, right? And it's just one of those where you scheme it up just right and you're able to make things happen. But I think like I highlighted the play with Edwards-Helaire, like, bro, that was not going to work long term. Like, I don't think there was anything that was going to happen. So you talked about the pressure on Mahomes. At halftime, 57% of his dropbacks, he was under pressure. For the totality of the game, 51% of the time when he drops back the pass, he's under pressure. Like,
wonder why we didn't see a screen. You know what I mean? To try to take some pressure away, like to take advantage of that overly aggressive, especially somebody like Shaq Barrett or something.
But that's what I'm saying. But they didn't have to. So, like, Todd Bowles is known as being a very aggressive D coordinator, right? He likes to send the house. He likes to blitz a lot. He only blitzed 11% of the time. Basically, by the end of the first quarter, start of the second, they figured out they didn't need to do that to get pressure. So you're talking about, like you said, Levante David and White are 2 of the fastest linebackers in the game. So if they don't have to send pressure to get to you and they can leave 4, even if you try to run the screen, right? Yeah. They're going to be busting in, trying to break in through those gaps to sniff out the play. Like, there was a play where, like, Hartman was hit on the check down immediately, and you see a cornerback and a linebacker meeting him 2 yards after he catches the pass. Like that.
I also, when you brought up the flag situations and whatnot, I wonder why they didn't measure that 4th and 5 offside, because it could have been a 5-yard but not a first down, right? Yeah. They didn't even measure that. They was just like, and for Tampa Bay, obviously they coached a great game, but I was puzzled why you don't give Fournette the ball on 4th and 1. You give it to Jones, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that could have been the tide turning thing right there. I'm gonna tell you who's getting off the hook, and they shouldn't, is the terrible Chiefs tackling against the run. Their tackling was abysmal. They had like people like Fournette bouncing off, like, you know what I mean? You got to wrap up, man. That's fundamental football, man. Like,
that was the most disturbing thing for me, was just the uncharacteristic play, the uncharacteristic penalties, just a lot of stuff that we have not been known to do all season. You know what I mean? And then now it's just kind of like the drops and everything. It's like, that's why I refuse to be one of those fans that's like the refs were in your back pocket, because the Chiefs did absolutely nothing to win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that they were trying and just getting the short end of the stick. They literally, in all facets of the game, lost. Coaching, special team, you know what I mean? All facets of the game, they lost. And so it's like, I feel for the Packers when they're playing a close game with the Bucs and you get that call at the end and they're like, but I also said, the Packers.
It was a grab, though. I mean, he grabbed him. You know what I mean? Whether the flag was late, early, he definitely grabbed. Yeah. And you hate to see a game decided like that. You like to see, as a football fan, Rodgers get a chance to. But, bro, that's what made the Packers' decision so questionable to not go for the touchdown. So with the Chiefs situation, I know the one they called pass interference was an uncatchable ball in the end zone. I mean, but it's still illegal contact. He's still stopping Mike Evans from even getting across. the field. So I'm on board with what you're saying. Like I do think it was there was some ticky tack, like for them to be, you know what I mean, against the Chiefs. But however, there were opportunities for people to make plays, and Mahomes just literally his stats are going to look bad. He got the 2 picks. Him throwing while falling down a perfect pass through to Tyreek Hill, you have to catch that. Travis Kelce, you have to catch that.
Yeah.
You have to move the sticks. You have to give them something. You don't do that. And then their defense doesn't stop the rush the last, like, however many, like, you know what I mean, just gets 5 yards a pop. You know,
and I think they were demoralized. I think at that point they were just. I think they knew it was over. They knew they weren't going to be able to come back. And so I'll say this about Mahomes, and I tweeted this out earlier. Like, we have given far too much country. And look, I love Stephen A. Smith, but his ridiculous tweet about, I told you, Mahomes, he'll never be the GOAT. He can't throw him open. He can't do this. It's like, bro, come on, man. Like, you have to be better than that. Like, we have given far too much country to people to just say foolish things because, like you said, Mahomes' numbers were not good. But if you look at the drop, look at how he was running for his life. Look at the drop passes. Like that,
he should have been sacked 7 times. Easy.
For someone
who
only
got sacked 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely. And like
the one where they let the corner come clean, bro, and he somehow gets away. 90% of quarterbacks don't get away from a clean corner, like a cornerback coming at you clean, because you're not quick enough to, you know what I mean? So, so like he needed other people. And they said, I saw this, to get to your point, Ward, I read an article that said the Chiefs actually were the 4th most penalized team. It's just Mahomes bailed them out or whatever, you know what I mean? So you didn't know that they were actually often penalized because it doesn't matter. They have Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I'm glad you brought up momentum, because I think that's what that is. It was definitely a game where obviously the final score, it looks bad, but there were, again, the NFL to me is a parallel league. That's why the Chiefs got so much slack for not blowing out these Falcons teams and whoever. And it's like, yo, these are paid athletes too, trying to win with incentives and scouts and coaches. So I think that game, you know, there were some major twists, and overall the Chiefs definitely didn't do Mahomes any favors.
No.
All right, so obviously, you know, this is new champ. I'll say this about the Chiefs, and then I want to ask a question about Tampa Bay going into next season, right? So Kansas City fans, I understand y'all a little bit bummed, y'all a little bit down, but please take the time to appreciate the run that the Chiefs have been on over the past 2 seasons. And if you want to even talk about since Mahomes became the starter, you made it to 3 AFC Championship games, 2 Super Bowls back-to-back. You won 1 of them. I know Tony Romo said that there's no way that Mahomes could ever pass Brady. And I'll ask you guys if you think that's true as well in a second. But he's in 4 seasons, he's been to 2 Super Bowls, right? So that's 20 seasons, has been in 10 Super Bowls. So right now he's on pace, at least in terms of appearances. I don't know if he'll make it to 10. I don't know if he'll win 7 of them, but he's got a good start. And so just trust me, as a Niners fan, I understand this feeling. It sucks. It's not good. But please take the time to appreciate what you have and relish in the fact that you'll likely be there again next year, as long as you have Mahomes and as long as they keep talent, especially on that offensive side of the ball. But as long as they keep talent on both sides of the ball, you'll be back there again. So I want to ask you guys, Romo made the statement of there's no way he can catch Brady, right? There's no way he's going to be able to get the accolades, at least in terms of AFC title games and appearances. So I ask y'all, what do y'all think about that? Do you think that since now that he's lost, is Romo right? Can he catch Brady all time?
It's so early. It's so early. And again, I even go back. I give him credit for getting to the AFC chip that quickly. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's been in the league, you know, and he's been in the AFC chip and then 2 Super Bowls, and the numbers he's putting up don't even make sense, bro. Like, they're like video game numbers. And I think he's in a space kind of like Brady, where Brady's division was never that strong. The AFC West has not scared me at all. You know what I mean? The Chargers, yeah, that their quarterback situation seems sewn up. The Raiders are just a mess, man. Just fell completely apart. And the Broncos look terrible. You know what I mean? So the Chiefs should, for the foreseeable year or two, do what Brady was doing. I mean, they should have a chip in a chair every year, as long as. And Mahomes doesn't play. He can run and move, but he's not reckless. You don't watch him like Josh Allen. You watch him and be like, man, how long can you play like that?
Yeah.
You know. So I think. But the biggest thing will be when his physical skills do start to deteriorate. Can he? Because I already think he's a high IQ player and everything like that. But can he do like Brady? Can he just stand back, losing that ability to create and make stuff happen? So that'll be what affects the longevity aspect, right?
Yeah, I feel like players don't stay around as much as they did back in the days. And I could be wrong with that. But, like, I think that, like, we live in a day and age of free agency and going and getting your bag and this, that, and the third. And I wonder if consistency at the highest level is replicable, able to be repeated, I guess, in a sense, as it was back in 2003, 2004, like the dynasty type years of the Patriots. That's what I kind of wonder. I think that he'll stay a Chief. I think that he'll have opportunities, but like Romo said, 6'2" was a lot better than 7'1". You know, it just really was. 6'2" was a lot better, and I think that we're not realizing that next year Tom Brady could literally be back in the Super Bowl, winning another Super Bowl again. Like he very well could be. Vegas has them at a second right now in the odds to win it next year, you know? So it's not like Brady's retired and it's now, you know, all Mahomes. And I think the AFC is getting better. I think Josh Allen and the Bills, Baker Mayfield and the Browns. I think, you know, you got LaMarcus Jackson and the Ravens. You've got Derrick Henry and the Titans. You've got some teams that are going to be tough to beat every year in the playoffs. Whereas I think you're looking at Breeze and Rodgers. These guys are not going to be playing too much longer. You know, like there's on the NFC side, there's some more questions. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you said, like Real Deal said, it's too early to know, but it's definitely. I mean, it's a tall feat because Brady is literally the greatest. I'm not going to call him athlete because he's obviously not the greatest athlete like Bo Jackson or whatever, but he's like.
Yeah, I think people are getting that question confused though. When they first said it, I didn't think, oh, they mean the box jump, bench press, 40-yard. He's one of the worst athletes, actually. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but so I mean, I think athletically, he's probably the worst quarterback athletically in the NFL. Maybe one of the worst on paper. Like, but like as far as what he's accomplished for his teams, man.
I was upset, man. I wanted Peyton to stay the only person to win Super Bowls with two different teams, man. I was upset.
I do like Peyton Manning a lot. I was a huge Peyton Manning fan.
So let me ask y'all this. Do you think that we could see a rematch next year?
Yeah.
Assuming health, right? Assuming health.
Yeah, there's no reason why not. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm going to text Gerald McCoy after this and say, bro, go join the Bucs, man. Like, I wish they could just send him a ring for this year because that dude was literally the best player on the worst team.
Truth.
I'm like, like, bro. I'm like, yo, I don't know who you're. Come to KC or join the Bucs next year, man. I want to see you get your just due.
Well, you know what's interesting? Speaking of teams hunting for rings, I believe it was Allen Robinson. I saw a tweet today that he wanted to get a ring. So I know there's been rumors and talk of Matthew Stafford getting texts from players who said they wanted to come to LA to come chase a ring. Maybe you start to see kind of like that NBA thing where guys go ring hunting and they maybe take a little bit less money to go join up with a contender. So I want to ask this last question, at least as regards to Tampa Bay. So I'm looking at their 2021 schedule right now. They play the NFC East and the AFC East. And then I'm trying to think. Obviously, they have their division, and then they got the Bears. Let's see, anybody else? The Bears and the Rams as kind of their like opponents that they've been kind of scheduled to play based on where they I think it's either schedule or where they finished. I can't remember how the algorithm works with the league. So again, they're playing two times in the NFC South. You have them taking on AFC East, NFC East. What do you think their record could be? I said based on what I'm looking at in front of me, I thought at best 12-4, at worst 10-6
for next year's schedule. So it's funny you touched briefly on the super team stuff, right? Because I remember when the Bucs first won the Super Bowl in 2003. So it's been a while. But it does feel a little odd that they got all these pieces over there. It was very odd to have all these eyes on Tampa Bay. And, then Gronk comes and they get Antonio Brown, they get Leonard Fournette. And it's weird. It's a weird feeling. I'm a Hoops fan too. So when I watch it in the Hoops, I hate it.
Because you're a Spurs fan.
I hate it, right? So I'm more excited for like Levante David, you know what I'm saying? And like JPP, even though he's only a couple years in on Tampa Bay, it's good to see Dominican Sue winning.
When JPP batted that ball down like this, I said the Lord is on their side.
Yeah. He's a monster, bro. JP, you got to wonder how they got. And so those players that they got that people thought were kind of done are on their way out. JPP, Dominican Sue. So those are great. Shaq Barrett, they got for nothing. He gets 19.5 seconds and they get the franchise tag him. I look at that schedule, man. If they keep the same intact team, I don't see why they can't win 14 games, man. I'm dead serious. The AFC East, the Bills, after the Bills, man, and because Josh Allen is somebody that can give them some fits.
Yeah.
The Jets, the Dolphins, and the
the Patriots. Is he going to Foxborough?
Oh man, that Patriots team looked pretty bad.
Yes, that game is at New England. That game is at New England.
And again the Bears beat the Bucs this year.
True.
I don't foresee that happening again. The Rams could be that other one. I think the Saints are going to be on a downhill slide for sure. Atlanta is they just find ways to lose games. They always play Tampa tough, but with Brady, it's a different Tampa team. You know what I mean? It's different. So 14's a lot, but I let me say 13-3.
Okay. Yeah.
What you think?
I don't agree with your downside. I don't think 10-6. I don't think that's going to happen. I would definitely say 12-4 is about where I would put them. And that's just because I'm pretty sure like in the NFC South, they're going to split with the Saints and they're possibly going to split with one other team. They shouldn't split with the Falcons or the Panthers. And depending on the health of Dak Prescott and what they do with the Cowboys are getting a lot better defensively. I think that Cowboys game could be a tough game for them. I'm not sold on the Eagles, the Redskins, or the Giants. I'm not sold on the Dolphins, the Jets, or the Patriots. So I'm looking at a possible loss to the Bills, possible loss to the Cowboys, maybe splitting in the division and looking at like four losses, something like that. It's football though. Like, I mean, we know that it's like Dale said, I don't see them losing to the Bears again. How did they lose to the Bears this year? So next year we might be scratching our head and say like, how did they lose to the Rams, or how did they lose to the Giants or something like that? It still is,
When you look at them on paper this year, like most of the teams they beat, aside from Green Bay, weren't good. They beat some terrible teams. They beat the Lions, the Vikings, just some not good teams, man. So I mean, but it's a different feel with Brady, man. It really you don't when you watch it and you're not a Brady fan or I hated the Patriots. I didn't like Brady, so I'm watching it like, man, I can't stand this, whatever. But you don't get the feel that your team's never out of it. You don't get to be like see him work for your team. It's crazy, man. It's really.
Yeah. I do find it funny. I say funny, but we talked about the super team thing, and literally every touchdown came from 2 for Gronk, 1 for AB, and 1 for Fournette. All 4. Every touchdown in the Super Bowl came from somebody that was not on their team last year.
And they're on paper so good that, like, even if Jones is your starting running back, he was like 3rd in the league before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have AB, like Scotty Miller's a serviceable third receiver. He got wheels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So even if Gronk, you don't have him, if you have a healthy OJ Howard, although he's been looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane a lot. But he's stud, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it was weird, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It was weird to have, because you watch it in hoops and it happens to predictable teams like the Lakers. You watch it in baseball, like, oh, the Yankees are loading up. Like, you're not surprised. So when it happens to your team, like in Tampa, I'm like, Tom Brady wants to come to Tampa Bay? Like, what? And you know what I mean? So, and Antonio Brown, like, bro, he had 42 catches. He came like 9 games into the season. You know what I mean? He just, if you ever watched him run a route, it's not even fair, man.
Yeah.
So, but I was surprised because when I watched the Bucs and Chiefs play earlier in the year, Chiefs beat the Braves. I know it was like a 3-point game, but at no point did I say the Chiefs was going to, like, it just was like they jumped all over them and then was just having fun down in Tampa. Like, so I was surprised, but man,
I feel like Todd Bowles is like, you know what? Let me see your hand in the first half, and then I'm gonna see you again later on this year, and I'm gonna, like the Chiefs maybe could have been a little bit more vanilla or something. I know in college football it's all about being vanilla against the terrible opponents and then surprising your. But in the NFL, I don't know if they do too much of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I do have one last question, and this is based off of something that I saw Real Deal tweet today. So I'm going to ask you guys what you think about this. Deal, you tweeted out earlier, better Bucs team, the 02 team or the 20 team?
So better on paper, I would say this new Bucs team. If we're saying if they play each other, it's tough because I think that 02 team gets to Brady. I don't think the Bucs offensive line is strong enough to keep Rice and Warren Sapp at bay. Like, you know what I mean? And they were strong in the secondary behind them. So if I look on like this, the Buccaneers team right now is so good because these players aren't putting up numbers like Gronk and AB and Evans and Godwin. They're not putting their usual numbers up only because there's too many plates to go around, not because they're all washed. You know what I mean? Mike Evans could put up, you know what I mean? But it's like Godwin got to get them. So all their numbers took these dips, which led people to believe like, oh, they're not the same player. Gronk is still moving down. You know what I mean? He's still a monster. It's just you just have so many other weapons. I think, and I was looking and paying attention to it today. I think the 2020 team on paper is better, but again, the 2020 team had 11 regular season wins. I want to say 8 or 9 of them were against losing teams or teams that didn't make the playoffs. They got Washington football in the first round, who was out without their starting quarterback. Now, beating in succession Breeze, Rodgers, and Mahomes is crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess the 2020 team, man, I think so. If they played, that would be interesting for the reason I said. I mean, everyone knows you get to Brady, that's when you change things. And the Chiefs' pass rush was outside the one sack was abysmal, man. They were nowhere around. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I think the 2020 team.
Ward, what you think?
2 words. John Gruden, the freaking GOAT. That's all you know. John Gruden's definitely out coaching Bruce Arians. Come on. No, I definitely agree. I think that I'll have to go with this 2020 team. And it might just be because I'm able to watch them as an adult a little bit better rather than the 17-year-old I was when I watched Brad Johnson and his incredible, self. By the way, Brad Johnson's younger brother is the not younger brother, son is the quarterback for LSU, right?
Yep. Upset. He led the upset over Florida.
You seen Brad Johnson recently, bro?
No.
He could barely get around, man. Them NFL hits took a toll on him, bro.
Really?
Yeah, bro. Because he took a beating at quarterback, bro. I mean, he couldn't run, and he played for a long time, man.
Yeah. So what I would say is 2020, I think this defense is better than – I think what it comes down to is the defense of 2020 for the Bucs is better than the offense of the 02 Buccaneers.
Man, that's interesting.
I would say the strength of the 02 Buccaneers was the defense,
right.
and the strength of this Buccaneers team is the offense. So I would go to the latter, and I would say that I think the linebackers being fast, Todd Bowles coaching, and Shaq Barrett and Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, all these guys, Jason Pierre-Paul, I'm taking them over. I'm guessing it was Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott and
no, it was Michael Pittman, Allstott, Keyshawn, Keenan McCardell, and, Joe Jurevicius was the third receiver. Yeah.
Wow.
And they had a good offensive line too. I think they had like Randall McDaniel at the time, and they had a good offensive line.
So I don't know. So I'll say that I think it's going to be a defensive slugfest, and I might edge the 02 team because I think just like Real Deal mentioned, you're talking about Allstott, Michael Pittman, strong physical runners. You got big. I mean, it's kind of eerie how they correlate a little bit. You got big body wide receivers, Joe Jurevicius, Keyshawn, right, Keenan McCardell, and you're looking at this 20 Bucs team where you got Mike Evans, right, and Chris Godwin, who are kind of these big body receivers. Gronk is a big physical tight end, so I might edge this 02 team. They got more Hall of Famers. Granted, who knows what's going to happen with JPP, and I don't know if Ndamukong Suh gets in, but man, you're talking about a defensive monster in 02 on that side of the ball. And so I just think both quarterbacks are going to go down multiple times because they're immobile. They're not going to be able to escape and evade any rushes. So, man, I think I'm going to edge 02.
I like it.
Man, y'all let us know what y'all think. Hit us up on Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, IG, or Twitter. Let us know what you think about this topic. Better Bucs team, 2002 or 2020. Anything else y'all want to say about the Super Bowl before we get ready to close the show out?
No, man. I think that there is a good chance of this being a rematch kind of thing, man. I really can't see. It depends on what the offseason happens, but the Chiefs really took it to Buffalo, man. They really showed the Bills about levels, man. And again, as being in Pittsburgh, I can see the Steelers. It's not the same Steeler kind of feel. It's a weird.
I think Ben is done, man. I think Ben is done.
I mean,
it's over.
I don't know. I'd say see how the first 4 to 6 games go because Ben had a good statistical season. Now, obviously, they started running the same kind of plays to not have him throw downfield. But you have him throw 68 times against the Browns, man. I mean, that's, 4 picks is going to happen. 68 times is absurd, bro. So we'll see. But I think this could be a rematch, man, next year for sure.
All right, cool. So before we close the show out, I want to kind of give Real Deal the floor. It's been over a year, right, since your father passed away due to complications after surgery at a hospital, correct?
Yeah.
And so, you started your campaign, Justice for Charlie. You're seeking to sue the hospital. I know it's Mercy is in the name somewhere, right? Am I getting
Mercy's
right?
the hospital, and it's under UPMC. That's the big medical. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. So he's been seeking to find someone to take the case so that he can go after the hospital for negligence. And so I just want to kind of give you the floor to share where you are on that journey and what's looking like going ahead.
So, I definitely that's a main thing is to get somebody to take the case. But I also would like to get some of these laws changed or looked at. Right. So medical malpractice or medical error being the third leading cause of death in the United States is crazy. And when you look at it, the statute of limitations is 2 years, bro. So 2 years, after 2 years, you can't sue. But for receiving stolen property, it's 5 years. That's wild to me. That's wild, right? So you get a stolen Samsung, they can come see you 4.5 years down the line. But if a medical error kills your mom or your sister or your loved one, you got 2 years. Another thing that I think needs re-examined and looked at is let's say, because these lawyers aren't taking my case, right? let's say I wanted to just say, I'll put the money up, I'm gonna go represent myself. You can't even do that without getting another doctor to write what's called a certificate of merit, which means they looked at your medical records and they think you have a case. And in many times you have to pay them thousands of dollars to look at your stuff, right? And then you can imagine how often doctors go against other doctors. It's like a fraternity, you know what I mean? If you wanted to sue me as a teacher, you don't need another teacher. You know what I'm saying? You could just put your case and go forward. You could represent yourself against me. But doctors are so overly protected, and people, the common person, doesn't have any resources. You got to find everything out as you go along, and you're on a 2-year clock. You got to grieve, bury your loved one, or do whatever, you know. And the way the lawyers work, man, is, you know, and once they start finding out you've reached out to other lawyers, they'll be like, oh, what they said? And I'm like, well, they said X, Y, Z. Yeah, that's what I think too. I'm just going to go ahead, you know. And the way that they determine what a loved one is worth, there's like a formula. Like they take, let's say your mom or your dad is, okay, they go, they're 65, you know, they were retired, but they didn't have a pension. So what is it really worth? How could you put numbers on that? How do you do that? How can you put a number on that?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the whole thing, you know, obviously I'm going to keep pushing past the 2 years. I have somebody reviewing my medical records now that has definitely said there's some odd things about it, you know, but they want to let the rest of the team see it and blah, blah, blah. But the whole time is ticking. So it's been a year and 7 months. I got 5 more months. So during a pandemic. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I had another doctor was looking at the records and got COVID.
Dang.
So, yeah, it's been 18 different law firms. And then, like, since the laws are different in certain states, you know, if you reach out, I can't just reach out to California or wherever, you know, and some lawyers don't want to go against such a powerful thing as UPMC. Like, UPMC literally stopped Pittsburgh from going under when the steel mills crashed. Our hospitals, we supposedly have some of the best hospitals. At the end of the day, man, it's not about dragging doctors in the dirt or anything. It's about accountability. It's about responsibility. My father died from a procedure he ended up not needing. They opened him up for no reason. You know what I mean? First they thought he had this leak, then they didn't. Then they x-rayed, then they opened him up, then they closed him up, and they gave him an infection. And then they did nothing for 9 days while this infection went to work. And then by the time they decided, oh, well, this is what it is, or XYZ, it was too late. And it was not pretty, man, in the least. So I can't tell you how many messages I get from people. Yo, my grandfather had something. This happened to my uncle, my aunt. I'm not saying we should just blow open the floodgates and sue everybody. But accountability and responsibility, man. Somehow, if your son or your daughter goes to my school and gets hurt on my watch, you understand? It's accountability. Teachers, they put us on leave before anything. We don't even get to. They're like, go on leave until we can figure this out. I just don't get it, man. I think that the thing needs put under a microscope, man. When the numbers are that 250,000, between 250,000 and 440,000 a year, people, you know what I mean, lose their lives to medical error. That's a lot of people, man.
Wow. It is. So you also dropped the album titled Justice for Charlie. Where can the people get that album?
So yeah, the song was Justice for Charlie. The album is just called Charlie.
Oh, my apologies.
No, you're good, man. And it's on all streaming digital platforms. I got physical copies of it. Like I said, the album was dedicated and named to my dad. Every track on the album is something that my dad would say. And then, you know, I've been putting out the hoodies and the shirts and stuff. And again, it's not like I'm not making the shirts are going for $20, the hoodies for $40. It's not like I'm making crazy money or anything. The hope is that somebody sees it, and it's such, my dad was such a unique looking character, and whenever somebody look at it and be like, oh, what's that about? And then you educate somebody else and just have people think, because we're not equipped. We just have so much blind faith in the doctors. We don't ask questions. We don't know what questions to ask. And when there's a loved one whose life is on the line, just because this person has a degree or whatever, man, listen, you should know some questions that you should ask, some things you should be aware of. You know what I mean? I'd have never thought about medical malpractice before the situation with my pops. You know, and now when you peel back the layers, man, it gets interesting to say the least.
Definitely.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, yo, Bill, I appreciate you coming on. This will not be the last time. We definitely want to have you on to talk more sports, more topics. You know, I didn't get a chance to do it this time, but I definitely want to talk about getting a little bit of battle rap and just talk about your career and your time with KOTD and just get into a whole bunch of interesting stories. I know you got a lot of interesting stories you can share. So I thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Oh, man, I appreciate you, bro.
Yo, so please remember, you can catch every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice. Please rate, review, and subscribe. The more you do so, the more the podcast is seen. Also, this episode will be up on YouTube. Please go to the platform there, search Brains and Bars for everything. You'll be able to rate, review, subscribe. And again, the more you do that, like this video, the more you do that, the more people see it. Ward, I appreciate you. I know you about to go play some pool. Be safe out there.
I would be remiss not to mention Real Deal's favorite sport. Some big news happened this last couple weeks. Candace Parker has announced that she is leaving the Los Angeles Sparks to play for hometown Chicago Sky. You know, I know I'd be remiss not to mention the WNBA.
Man, what am I gonna do with this Candace Parker jersey, man?
Hey, shout out to Candace Parker, man. But
Thanks for having me, man. I'm gonna go here and play some pool. It's a snowstorm, so I don't know if the other team forfeited or what. There wasn't a lot of people in there, so we'll see.
Yep. So I am award.com for all things award battle, merch, music. Loso, everything Loso.com, same thing. Vixen versus Loso goes down on Caffeine this weekend. Good luck to him in that endeavor. Until next time, it's been a Black
and White
thing, man. We'll holler at y'all. Y'all be easy. Stay safe out there.
All right, deal.
All right, man.